Hiya! Today's story is very famous. It's taken from the very first book in the Bible. The first book in the Bible is called Genesis, and the story starts in Genesis chapter 6. At the very first chapter of the Bible, we find out all about how God created the earth. He made animals and people to live in it. The very first people that God put on the earth were called Adam and Eve. They lived in the Garden of Eden, but they were tempted by the devil to eat fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which God had told them not to do. And so they sinned against him, and they were removed from the garden. But God still looked after them and was with his people. Adam and Eve had children, and their children had children, and their children had children, and the number of people on earth grew and grew and grew. But as the number of people on earth got bigger and bigger, so did the number of bad things that people did. And this made God very, very sad. He said, "I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race that I have created, and with them the animals, birds, and creatures of the ground." But Noah was a good man who loved God and spent time with him. He did what was right, and he was faithful to God's every command. So God, knowing Noah, told him to build an ark. The ark was to have 3 decks, and on top of it a roof to keep them dry. And Noah did exactly as God asked. When it was finished, God told Noah to bring his whole family into the ark, his wife and his 3 sons and their wives. Then God told him to bring a pair of every wild animal into the ark, 1 male and 1 female of every living creature was to join Noah and his family in the boat. That must have been very crowded. And once all of the animals and Noah and his whole family were inside the ark, God shut the door. God sent rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and the whole earth was flooded for 150 days. The water covered everything from the ground to the tops of the mountains. But God remembered Noah and his family in the ark, and he stopped the rain. When the rain stopped, Noah opened a window and sent out a raven to search for dry land. The raven flew back and forward, to and from the boat. Then Noah sent a dove. It came back and was sent out a week later. When it returned, it brought an olive leaf with it. This meant dry land had been found. When the land was completely dry, God told Noah and his family to come out of the ark, and he brought all of the animals with them. Noah praised God, and God was very pleased. God said this to Noah after they came out of the ark, and you could learn it this week as a memory verse. Genesis chapter 8, verse 22. As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease. Noah and his family were in the ark for a very long time. It must have been a very strange time for them. And this is a very strange time for us as well. We have been in our houses for almost 2 months, and we aren't able to go and see our friends or go to school like we normally do. But in this, God is with us, just like he was with Noah and his family. God told Noah, after they came out of the ark, that he had been with him the whole time. God promised never ever to flood the earth again, and he put the rainbow in the sky as a sign of this promise. He said, I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Whenever I bring clouds over the earth and the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will remember my covenant between me and you and all living creatures of every kind. Never again will the waters become a flood to destroy all life. Whenever the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between God and all living creatures of every kind on the earth. The rainbow was in the sky as a promise that God would protect us, protect his people, and look after us, just like he protected Noah in the ark. So when you see the rainbows in the street and in the windows, or even in the sky, remember that God is with you now, just like he was with Noah in the ark.